Learning assignment 12. So for this part I chose part C, which is called self-development. Basically, for those who are watching that are not part of my class, basically we were supposed to find or to search up the article that was given to us, and we had to summarize it in 12 to 15 sentences. I think I did a little bit more than 15. I don't know. I haven't counted. It just looked right. Anyways, the article, called 8 Persuasion Techniques to Change Anyone's Mind, mainly talks about what the title states: how to persuade someone to change their mind. The first technique is called foot in the door. Foot in the door principle means that prior to asking for a big favor, you should ask for a smaller one. By first asking for something small, you're making the individual committed to helping you, and the larger request acts as like a continuation of something technically already agreed upon. I found this to be similar to guilt tripping someone, because it's pretty much, I'm already doing this. Why not already start doing that? It's kind of like that for me. The second technique is door in the face. Door in the face is the opposite of the foot in the door technique. First, you ask for something huge and that they're not going to agree with, and then ask for something contrastingly easier. The third technique is anchoring, in which you use cognitive bias, which is basically it's basically like you know what lettuce tastes like because you've had, you know what romaine lettuce tastes like because you've had iceberg lettuce before. It's like that pretty much. Like you think you know what it is because you've had something similar to it. So you use cognitive bias to compare something to something that is already familiar with you. This would be like comparing to first-person shooter games. The fourth technique, commitment and consistency, is making someone who had a belief stay consistent with it. If you make a person commit to something small, you could use the initial commitment to influence them into doing more for you. The fifth technique, social proof, is basically like peer pressure. If all your friends chose this type of topic for their projects and got A's, it must be a good one. Like I said, this is more or less like peer pressure. It's kind of like the example that I used here. It's basically, if it worked, why not do it again? The sixth technique is authority, which is basically giving you assurance and confidence that you are making the best choice because someone who has authority, like in my instance, parents, or in someone else's instance who's already out of the house and working, a boss, or some sort of higher authority, tells you to do so. The seventh technique is scarcity, in which you're told that because something is rare, you will buy it since you may regret it later. This would be stuff like limited edition apples, let's say. And then you think about it later and you're like, oh, I want that apple. Now you don't have it anymore. The eighth and final technique is reciprocation. People tend to feel obliged to return favors. Regardless of whether the person likes the gift, they're still inclined to give something in return. Having someone feel indebted to you is something that will always be useful, raising your chances of receiving something that you want exponentially. In conclusion, this article, as the title says, explains how to persuade someone without them even knowing. Thank you for your time.